Wood sculpting is an art form that has become very popular, and Paul Albright of Akeley, Minnesota has taken it to the next level. His detailed sculptures of near life-size bears, eagles, and other animals are a true testament to his talent, creativity, and dedication.
This will be converted into looking like a log, so I'll be putting bark on here. I left this open for a couple reasons. The other bears will be, I'll drill holes and fasten those from the underside so they can take it out. And I left a little crossbar on there so if she ever wants to put a plant, like a fern or something, it'll look like a rotted old tree with something growing out of it. What you'll see here now is there are light areas inside, and rather than brushing it in or wire brushing it in, I just use this. And what it does is it gets in all the fine areas, and it puts almost a finish on it immediately. I would say more toward the unique. Every town has a wood carver in this area. I step it up just a little bit more than perhaps the others in terms of detail. Felt really fortunate that there are people that are interested in not only the animals but unique settings. On the wood projects, I use a chainsaw first through probably a good third of the project, and then I use a series of other power tools, kind of size down, sanders, and then hand carving tools depending upon the wood type there too. I send sketches out, and if it's something I'm not as familiar with or want a little more reference, I'll do like a clay model or a maquette. And I also let them know that I can show them examples of the drawings and small forms that I did prior to, and then show them the finished project so that they know what to expect. Because it's not going to be perfectly like this, or because you have to stay flexible. We have access to white cedar that stretches in this area, but mostly north of us, and it goes kind of over the Great Lakes type of area. And that seems to do best for what we have available here for longevity and durability. It's not the friendliest wood, it's not hardwood, but at the same time it has a fragile or flaking type of thing going on, so I use more power tools in that instance because it's just the tools that you have to use to get what you need to get to. I went to school for art and got my BS degree in art education and had taught for a few years, 4 or 5 years. And in the summertime, my brother-in-law asked if he had ever heard of this chainsaw art, and I really didn't. About 3 years later, I think just one had built in, someone else, his neighbor asked type of thing. And through those 2-3 summers, all of a sudden I had like 11 pieces about. And thought, well, if things don't work out teaching, I'll go that route. Well, you should sometimes be careful what you say or wish for. I've had a lot of people come back for more, so that it should speak for itself. Even on average, maybe, of those who, let's say, get something, have 3 of something that I've made. There are a few that don't have room for anymore. Nice problem, I guess. This is a clay maquette that I did, and the finished piece is nearly life-size, probably 2/3 to 3/4. The top half is black walnut, and the bottom half is copper. It's probably the 7th one I've probably done, somewhere in there. First one was really simple and came up with the idea by reading a friend's book. It was a fantasy piece, and then the little people in the trees. And of course, 4 in the morning when the bad ideas come out, this was kind of an idea that worked. This is something I came up with that should remind people a little bit of a German artist, Escher. And he did do sculptures, but he never did this sort of dyad. So I did a sphere out of, from the cylindrical form of a log into a sphere. And then from there, I did this, I'd almost call it like a relief. So trying to maintain that really tight sphere look without getting too far from it. watch it fall now. I realize after the whole thing's done, as they mentioned that, well, I would have paid a lot more for this, you know. Of course, they don't tell you these things prior to or whatever. And that, and let's face it, making a choice, whether you have money or not, it takes a person with, you know, a bit of imagination to order this. And they, of course, see what you've done before. They have something to go by, but it's a risk. They're taking a risk, and they know it. So it's been very fun to meet a lot of these risk takers.
Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008. The North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.